I think might be useful for me to talk about asking questions as far as guide contact goes. To an extent, what questions you ask and how you ask them might depend on the nature of your contact. If you are restricted to a yes and no interface, your questions and answers will be structured a different way than if you had another kind of interface. You can do an awful lot with a yes and no, with just yes and no. You can do a lot more if you can get shades between there and possibly an emphatic yes. An emphatic yes being, oh yeah, you got it, you got it, you got it, kind of thing. But one of the rules is that it must be restricted to a point where it's answerable. The angels tend to answer very literally. So you can, if you're not careful, you can basically deceive yourself with the answer. So you want it to be answerable. But a yes and no will mean something, for instance. You don't want it to be too restricted, or you might be talking about a little something that doesn't matter. And you're particularly in the early going, the difference between your energy and your guide's energy is so large that you will get tired and they will too, and you'll only be able to do it for a little bit, 10-15 minutes maybe. You might be so tired that you maybe have to put it off for a day or two. And they have to reach down pretty far, particularly when you're just beginning. They have to reach down a long way, and it's tiring for them. There are some questions that, for instance, will I die? Well, the answer to that one is always yes, because someday you will. At least, probably, I would think. So you have to restrict it within a time period. However, some questions are not answerable. They will not tell you certain things. You can't learn the question. You can't learn when you will die, or really anybody else. Not exactly, anyway. You can do it on likelihoods. Is it likely that I will die within the next 50 years? Almost certainly. If I'm 63, I would say that my probability of that is pretty likely, I would suppose. But I don't know. And a lot of these things depend on factors that we may know nothing about. You may be perfectly healthy and get run over by a bus tomorrow, or possibly. So there's things like that. You want your questions to be restricted in scope to the point they're answerable. You want your answers to be meaningful. For instance, is there a clear difference between a yes answer and a no? Another area where they will generally not give you an answer is something where you should make your own decision. An example might be, should I marry this person? And that's your choice, and hers, or his if you're a woman. You could ask, am I in danger being around this person? And are they a danger to me? And you would probably get an answer. And there's also things that them giving you an answer would violate somebody else's rights. Their right to their own thoughts, their right to make their own decisions. They're working on free will. The angels are not allowed to violate free will. They basically are not to make your decisions for you. They can give you information, but not to the extent necessarily that it predetermines some decision that is yours to make. So you want to restrict it by subject matter, probably. You want to restrict it by time. You want to not give them, not violate the rules as far as making your decisions for you, or violating somebody else's confidence or rights in the process. Oh, and you have special rights. If you are, say, a parent and you are asking about your child, particularly when they're small, but parents continue to have certain rights unless for all the life of their child or somebody that they are responsible for. Someone you are a guardian for, even, for instance, if you are in a guardian state, official or unofficial, let's say your parents, or your spouse or somebody that you are the responsible person for, and they're not in a condition where they could make decisions, and you're in a position to that you are supposed to make decisions. You have special rights. And even for an unconscious person or something of this nature, you can ask through your guides, you can ask that their higher self could maybe give you permission in a state where such things are necessary. And you may or may not get permission. I will tell you, there are rules that the angels work with, and the angels will not violate their rules set. But these are the kind of questions that you ask, and which give you an idea about how to ask. And the wording can be very important. And on a tricky question, you may want to ask the same question with somewhat different wording several different times, and see whether you get somewhat different answers. And that may give you information on something. I'm not certain that I've covered all of the questions. I probably have not. But this gives you some kind of idea of how you start. Now, there are people that communicate by touch, by vision, by internal vision, by hearing, by feeling. There are probably many other ways. But the guides will try to communicate with you if they can. So, on to the next tape.